Yeah, it will be fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need one more.
It's the same letter, different addresses.
So they're both.
Yes, both
One's
applicants are right next to each other tonight.
That's interesting.
They're different properties.
This has been nice. Straight cold up going. No.
So when we make these decisions, what they're gonna use it for doesn't matter to us, just if the change is allowed.
That's a really good question to ask to the commission during the hearing.
I remember that was something that's been brought up more than once, is that purpose doesn't matter.
It was interesting because
Katie Jo, is this your blanket?
It is not.
All right, I was gonna say, this is not a good blanket to have right here. It's the wrong team.
Needs to be red.
Nope. Without the orange. Blue without the orange. Were you expecting anybody else?
Aaron said he would be here. I did not hear from Bruce or McKay.
So who are we missing at
Aaron.
So do we need Aaron to move forward?
Yeah.
We only have 5, we gotta have one more person.
You gotta have 6.
I don't know. We can have the meeting, we just can't vote. Right? Okay. Gotta go to Utah tomorrow to a wedding. I thought if we got done, I need to go. Right? Depending on how late we are. It's not here.
Nope, unless he grew his hair out.
So it looks like I do have an email saying Aaron will not be able to attend. Todd had mentioned that we could have him call in if we need, if you want to let him know.
How's he doing? You know?
He was struggling with some health issues.
I know.
And so-
He was doing.
Chairperson, while they're figuring that out, as we're going into the holidays, we usually end up moving a meeting or two. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Okay, so what's our?
Because if we do the 1st and 3rd, I guess the 3rd is the 21st of November, we wouldn't be too bad there because we'd still have a week before Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's very late.
December, the second week would be the 19th, which again is a full week in front. So this year, we,
Well, typically, we may just not have that meeting just because
yeah, depending on what we have.
unless we need to reschedule it, yeah.
Hey Todd, this is Alan. How are you doing? Good. Hey, is there a chance you can jump on and join? We need one more person to make a call.
January.
Okay, we'll
So
wait for you to
January
join
is
and
the
then we'll go
second.
from there.
Okay.
Say it again.
Thanks, Todd. Bye.
What'd you say?
January
January?
is the
That was the second.
So that would, no, yeah. the
Yeah, that would be a tough one too.
Todd is going to jump on a computer and get online.
Especially because school doesn't go
we can
back
move
into
that
the
to
6th.
Because there's 5 Thursdays. Want to do that?
Which one?
Should we
January
move
9th.
January to the 9th and the 23rd?
No, fine with me.
Yeah, I would suggest that because school will still be out on the 2nd.
The second will be tough. Yeah, I'd suggest that.
And are you also proposing that we not do December 19th?
That's what I would think.
Oh.
Unless there's something that we,
I doubt there's going to be anything really pressing.
I'm indifferent.
but then it'd be another, extra week till January. So if there's anything that we needed to do, we could do it 2 weeks in a row or something.
Yeah. We'll just kind of keep it, as we get into November too,
You'll
let's
know.
tentatively look at not doing it on the 19th. Unless something big happens to show up that we need to push through.
And then tentatively move January
To the 9th.
to the 9th.
If we don't have anything on the agenda, we'll just cancel that one and go to the normal third week.
Okay.
So let's play that one by ear also.
Yeah, see what we have going. Okay, is Todd online then?
He said he would get his computer up, it may take him a minute, but let us know, Asher, when he comes online.
Then I have a question for you too.
Yes.
Okay, so, we did an annexation last time. So, and then city council had a public hearing on that.
They did.
So on annexations, there are 2 hearings, or was it requested
It's required to have 2 hearings
for an annexation?
for an annexation. Yes.
But on anything else,
That's the only one that requires. that
we
they
haven't
have
had an annexation for quite some time, so.
It's been a couple of years since our last one. But you are going to have some more coming.
Okay.
So just a heads up on that. We've got 2 islands that we want to clean up in the city. And according to the code, we can now force annex them.
Any other questions or comments while we're waiting? I guess could we start if he's on by the public hearing or?
We can start doing stuff until we get to the action items. And then you guys can-
Okay, all right. Why don't we go ahead and start then? Okay, we'd like to welcome you here to our October 17th, 2024 Planning and Zoning meeting.
Somebody, pull your microphone.
Okay. I'll go ahead and lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Please stand. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Katie, do you want to go ahead and do the roll call? Do we have him yet? No, okay.
Vince Haley,
Here.
Randall Kempton,
Here.
Sally Smith,
Here.
Aaron Richards, Jim Lawrence, Bruce Casper, McKay Francis, Vanessa Johnson,
Here.
Rob Woodall, Brian Thackeray,
Here.
Todd Marks.
We hope will join us.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess we need to wait to approve the minutes too then. Okay. All right, stand by.
So I'm just going to take a minute and tell you a little bit about some of the stuff we did at, we went to the APA Idaho conference. That's why we weren't here the last time. But
APA meaning for us.
Association, American Planners Association.
Sounds like a really good time there, Alan.
I don't know how Asher, you're hiding the button from me. Oh, you hit it up underneath. Anyways, it was really interesting. One of the first things they did the first day of meetings is they brought us in, and it was from 8 o'clock in the morning till noon. And they walked us through all aspects of a planning and zoning commission, council, how they're to function, what kind of requirements. And they even broke us out into different groups. They had all of those that have been planners for more than 5 years, under 5 years. They had administrative assistants in one. They had council members, but then they discussed within the groups the different challenges that was going on. So it was really, I would have loved to have brought that training and had all of us go through it again. It helped me quite a bit understand stuff. And then we had another one was on the legal issues. And there was a lawyer from Boise, and he was talking about some of the lawsuits that they had ended up in, and mainly because of reasons for decisions. They had one, it was a very large plat they wanted to do in the Boise foothills, and it covered hundreds of acres. And they had 5 days of testimony on this, just went on and on and on, and they turned it down, and the guys appealed it, and it ends up in court. They sued, and they had 9.5 pages of reasons for their decision, and the judge threw it out and says, you don't have enough.
Wow.
What's that? Supreme Court threw it out. Yeah, the Supreme Court.
Well,
And what they did is they says, well, you've got seven pages, I think, or 8 pages of this explaining what's going on, but you've only got 1.5 pages that tells us the reasons. But even then, 1.5 pages wasn't enough for them to justify their reasons for making that decision. So it's something to keep in mind. I think we're good because Spence is keeping us in line.
What's Northwest?
Is it Northwest?
No Neighborhood Association versus the city of Boise.
Yeah.
And that's kind of caused some ripples.
So they
So our arguments need to be 9 pages long?
No, I mean, it's,
5 days after, 5 days of testing.
Yeah, they had hundreds of people that testified. And then they still come in and stated their reasons for. I think they denied it. Or did they approve it and these guys were fighting it? Can't remember for sure. Anyways, it was a difficult one for them. They did that one. Katie Jo went to one on, you did the one where they talked about staff reports, all that different kind of stuff. We attended a couple of them that were on housing. Particular, the one I was in was on manufactured homes and some of the changes that are coming with that and the ability to stop or not stop putting manufactured homes in standard subdivisions. And it may become very difficult to stop somebody from wanting to put one in a neighborhood.
It's been legal for a long time. Yeah, you can't stop.
Yeah, they won't be able to in some of these in certain circumstances, so that was,
we have him on the line yet?
Todd, is Todd on?
No. Let's give him another call.
Okay, let me give him a call.
I assume he has some technical. We could probably get him to him on the phone, couldn't we?
Yeah, I think we could.
We could call him.
Might be easier.
Are you there?
On speaker. Just put the microphone next to it.
Okay, let me do this. I'm just gonna put you on speaker and hold you up to it so you can participate that way, Todd. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Katie, if you want to roll call Todd.
Todd Marks.
Here.
Then we are free to proceed.
All right. Okay, we need an approval of the planning and zoning meeting minutes for October 3rd.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from October 3rd as written.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion that's been seconded. Any further discussion or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Would I also?
Okay,
Aye, but I'm going to abstain because I wasn't there last meeting.
okay, yes, Todd wasn't here, so, okay.
I abstain as well.
Okay, all right. Okay, we will go ahead and move into our first public hearing tonight. This is Hepworth Caretaker Residence for Conditional Use Permit. The applicant is requesting to use an existing office building located at approximately 145 West 2nd North in a light industrial zone as a residence. And this is Seth Flynn and Derek Hepworth. And are you presenting tonight?
You guys want to say anything? Okay. Yeah, then, the property located, you'll see on the map here, is the old Madison Co-op fertilizer plant. And the part they are asking for the caretaker CUP is this building right here, which will be converted into living quarters so they can live in it. It is allowed in light industrial, so it's something they can do, but they do have to have a conditional use permit to grant that. So at this point, they're asking that we approve or recommend for approval to City Council them to have this caretaker lot on there.
Okay, so I'm a little bit confused. So it's not right on 2nd North?
Not right on it. Well, the property comes to Second.
2nd North, but it's,
This is Second North right here.
But
This
which-
whole lot is on there.
right, so is this still west of the railroad tracks then?
Yes, it is west. The power station is right here,
Right, okay.
and this is Second West right here.
So there's a little building back in there right now that has looks like it is being rented out for a house?
They're not renting it, their son is living in this.
Oh, okay. So is that the building?
That's the building.
The
It
little
was-
white building?
It's the old office.
Okay.
That used to be used as an office.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Alan?
And this is, again, it's allowed, it's just a CUP is all it is.
Yeah, they just have to have a CUP to be able to live in that. And they'll meet building code, everything else, what they'll have to do to bring it up to code.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open the public portion of the hearing. If anyone would like to speak on the proposal, they need to come forward and give their name and their address. I will begin by hearing anyone neutral, then anyone opposed, then anyone in favor of we'll do favor first, I'm sorry, favor and neutral, and then opposed. So at this time, is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this change? Anyone neutral? Anyone opposed? Okay, we do have written correspondence. Are you all aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, there's 2 letters from the railroad, one on each of these.
Todd, did you get a chance to read that letter?
It was in the packet.
Did you get a chance? Okay, Todd has not read the letter. So is there a chance we could read it?
We want to read it.
So he has an opportunity to hear it.
Okay, and this one is,
Looks like the same letter in front and back. That's
Oh,
what I
no,
got.
there's
well, there's one for each property, so
This is the 119, right? You want me to read that, Chairperson?
go ahead. That'd be great.
45.
This is 145. Okay.
I'm trying to find which one it is.
Here, this one's 145.
Okay, yeah.
Dated October 15th, 2024, in response to East Idaho, this is East Idaho Railroad opposition to conditional use permit that's in question tonight. To whom it may concern. Todd, can you hear me?
Todd, can you hear Vince?
No, I get broke up there.
You want me?
Put the
Bring the phone over there, yeah.
Is the letter in the files or is it?
Yes, it is.
Here, I've got you right next to Vince. He's going to read it.
Okay.
To whom it may concern, the East Idaho Railroad LLC respectfully express our opposition to conditional use permit number to allow a caretaker residence in light industrial zone as a conditional use for the property located at 145 West 2nd North, Rexburg, Idaho. The applicant property is directly adjacent to East Idaho Railroad's railroad right-of-way and allowing conditional use as a caretaker residence would create unnecessary risk to the local community and East Idaho Railroad operations. Immediately adjacent to the applicant property is the East Idaho Railroad right-of-way. If the applicant property is allowed to be used as a caretaker residence, it may create unnecessary safety hazards to its residents and East Idaho Railroad crew members. Additionally, the applicant property is located in close proximity to an existing railroad crossing. It is possible that the crossing may need to be altered in order to properly facilitate the proposed conditional use. Please note, any improvements or alterations to the crossing or right-of-way would be at the City of Rexburg or the applicant's sole cost and expense. For the reasons stated above, the East Idaho Railroad opposes the applicant's proposed conditional use as a caretaker residence. Respectfully, Chad Schlotzhauer, East Idaho Railroad Property Manager.
Okay, thank you very much, Vince, appreciate that. Alan, do you want to kind of talk to us a little bit about that right away?
One of the key things you need to keep in mind here is this is private property. The right-of-way that they have does not encroach on any property owned or where this CUP is going. So there was never one in the past, there's never one in the future. For this residency only, it doesn't affect theirs at any point or at any time. They're not going to run a spur down that side of the track unless they come in and request that to happen, and then they would have to give up the right-of-way to do it. Their right-of-way basically is right in here. Just this area in here is their right-of-way. So it would not encroach in any way into theirs. Okay.
Any questions about that?
So is this just like a general concern of like any change happening next to the railroad, and that's why they're sending this out? Or-
This is the first time I've ever had them come in and say anything. We have residences that are a lot closer than this, up and down the track, all through town, that are a lot closer. So I'm not sure, they may not understand that it's going in that office building and not in the old elevator.
Interesting.
And that may be some of their concern is, well, if you're right there, then you're going to be closer to that. But the location puts them far enough away that there are housing units a lot closer than this in the city.
Yeah, I applaud Chad for sending this letter out. It seems like he's on the ball,
Right.
although it's not really applicable in my mind.
It's the first time we've got any response out.
He read his notice when he got it. That's good.
Yeah, look, I mean, looking throughout town, this, like Alan said, there's a much closer homes
Okay.
and a much more residential high density, or more residential density areas than this.
Yes.
Okay, let's,
Yeah, just as a point of procedure, should we close the
let's
public
go ahead
hearing?
and close our public hearing and then have that as part of our discussion. Okay, we will close the hearing at this time. Now we can have some discussion. Any other comments?
Yeah, I don't, we've got an applicant who owns a piece of property and I'm sure is aware of the risks that are there themselves. And I personally don't see any issue that would, any reason that where they are would cause any problem with the railroad. It seems to me, I wonder if this is, a railroad company trying to make sure that their i's are dotted
Yep.
and t's are crossed so that any lawsuits that come through, they can say, well,
Right.
we oppose this.
Right, liability, 100%.
That's what I see in this.
Make sure that they were against, wanted us to know
So,
that there could be some
yeah.
danger there. Probably true.
But I don't think that trumps an owner's property right or ability to
No,
do what they want with their property. So
I agree. And this is in compliance with the comprehensive plan in that area.
because it's just a conditional use that is allowed in the light industrial.
Anything else?
I'm willing to make a motion.
Are we ready for a motion?
That we recommend to city council that they approve the conditional use permit for this property for the reasons that we've just discussed. It's allowed in the comprehensive plan and appears to be safe despite the railroad's concerns.
Okay, Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, this proposal's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll go ahead then and send this on to city council.
The first week in November. Let you know.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay.
I'm up on Zoom, but can you hear me when I talk?
Yes, we can hear you now. So I'm gonna shut.
I'm gonna shut the phone down
Yep.
and let you just come through the computer.
Okay. All right, thanks, Alan.
Okay, our second public hearing tonight is very close to this property. 119 West 2nd North, a rezone. The application is to change the zoning of approximately .297 acres from light industrial to low-density residential 3. This is Ryan and Jeff Lurwell's proposal. Go ahead, Alan.
Mr. Learwell is online. If you would like to speak, Ryan, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So we have this little postage stamp lot that is also going to have this similar letter, I'm sure, from the railroad because of the proximity to the railroad right of way. The difference on this one is there's an old historic railroad spur, runs pretty close to this residence. Of course, the property extends much beyond that, but they've got that easement through there. But that spur, I believe, and I'll have Alan maybe speak to this a little bit more clearly and has some more history. I know Steve Zollinger told us that there was a railroad car on that at one time that tipped over just inherently because of a cave-in of a track, and they've condemned that portion of the rail, so it's no longer in use. So I presume we'd have the similar letter on this project as well in opposition. This little postage stamp lot, which is light industrial currently, we just can't imagine anyone being able to use 0.297 of an acre light industrial. And we're contiguous to the high density residential to the south. And, you know, with everything going in across the street with Rexburg Rapids and the hockey rink and everything, we just really feel like the highest and best use is to get this rezone done and see if we can bring this little house back to life and remove it from the blight category is the plan. So that's the basic proposal.
Okay, any questions for the applicant?
Sorry, I didn't state my address, Sally. Do you want me to do?
Yes, do you want to do that, Ryan? That would be great.
Sorry, Ryan Lurwell, 1732 North, 5000 East in Sugar City, Idaho. Sorry
Thank
about that.
Thank you. Randall, did you have a question? No, okay. Any questions? Alan, comments?
Again, this one, this is a little different in this situation because this property does extend across the right-of-way into here. But the applicant is aware, as he stated, that they cannot interfere with that railroad, even though it's not there. They can't interfere with what's going on there, and they would have to have permission to do anything in that right-of-way. So they're aware of that. They're working within the confines of what does not cross into that railroad right-of-way. Again, we tried at one point to get the previous owner to join in when we rezoned this for the rest of the property to the south. He chose not to at that point, so it's something that we've anticipated going to a residential for quite a while. So staff would recommend to you for recommending approval to City Council.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open our public hearing with the same format. Anyone who is in favor of the proposal could speak first. Do we have anyone else online? Do we know? No one, okay. All right, seeing none, anyone neutral? Anyone opposed?
You may want to read that letter.
Okay, and we do have the letter. Do you want to read the other side, Vince?
Do I have to read the full thing, Spencer?
Yeah.
If Todd hasn't read it, we probably do need him to.
I mean, that's the thing, if it's whether reviewed it, then no, but we have.
I did not have a chance to read it, so.
All right. Make it happen. To whom it may concern, the East Idaho Railroad LLC respectfully express our opinion to the proposed to the proposal to amend the zoning map to rezone the property located at approximately 119 West 2nd North Rexburg, Idaho, from light industrial to low-density residential 3. Immediately adjacent to the applicant property is the East Idaho Railroad's right-of-way. If the applicant property is allowed to be used for residential purposes, it may create unnecessary safety hazards to its residents and East Idaho Railroad crew members. Additionally, the applicant property is located in close proximity to an existing railroad crossing. It is possible that the crossing may need to be altered in order to properly facilitate the proposed zoning change. Please note, any improvements or alterations to the crossing or right-of-way would be at the City of Rexburg or applicant's sole cost and expense. Lastly, the parcel data shown on the attached notice of public hearing to amend the zoning map for the City of Rexburg incorrectly shows the western boundary line of the applicant property as extending onto East Idaho Railroad's right-of-way. Therefore, it appears that the proposed zoning amendment would affect the zoning designation of the East Idaho Railroad's property. For the reasons stated above, the East Idaho Railroad opposes the applicant's proposed rezoning from light industrial to low-density residential 3. Respectfully, Chad Schlotzhauer, East Idaho Railroad Property Manager.
Okay, so it is actually rezoning the right-of-way in this case.
Yeah, it is, but that doesn't affect the railroad in any way.
Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing then, and any discussion on this proposal.
Alan, can you zoom out a little bit in terms of zoning?
Right across the street from what we just did.
Just to the north.
Because everything we just rezoned to the south of high-density residential.
3. Oh,
So we're doing low density.
And
It's
again, we can't talk about projects or what the proposal is.
just such a small piece of property, I think was their reasoning for the LDR3.
Is the LDR 3, you're saying?
To be able to get the density on, to get in.
Yeah, and that's what my question is, if they were to match the high density, their setbacks and everything would be,
Nothing.
would,
Have a little easier setbacks, because they'd be reduced some, but it still wouldn't give them additional places in there. It would be difficult. Parking's the biggest challenge with this whole thing, is how do I get them in here, where do they park to be able to meet? And I think best case, they can do 2 units. And going up even to MDRs or HDRs wouldn't improve that.
What does the comprehensive map show there, comprehensive plan map show there?
It's showing an intermediate, which this fits in.
So
Okay.
the LDR3 would be.
Thank you.
And do we know if that stretch of railroad that runs through the property is no longer in use?
It is not at this point, it's been tore out.
Okay.
It's not continuous. There's, everything to the south of there has been torn out, so it's not being used. And I don't know if there's a full connection going north for this also.
Yeah.
I think it's been, because I want to say 20, 30 years since anything might have been used in there. The last one that seriously used it would have been Mountain Gold Potato. And I know that one's been over 20 years since it went out. But you get down past them, as you get down to this part, it disappears back in here. Because this is where the potato warehouse used to sit, was right here. And they just dead-ended here. They didn't even come on through. When they remodeled this, they tore a lot of those tracks out because there was 2 different spurs that came through here. Because they had one that went to the elevator, and then they had the one that came in for the potato warehouse way back in the day.
Are there any legal recourse that the railroad might have? Well, I'm looking at this paragraph about the proposed zoning change, changing the zoning designation of the East Idaho Railroad's property.
My guess, and Spencer, correct me if I'm wrong on this, they're just clearing the air saying, you put this in there, if something comes up that causes a change in the railroad, either the city or the applicant is going to have to pay. They're basically indemnifying themselves. Is that what I'm understanding? Where they're not responsible for any cost of changing the railroad? Because they do have a right of way?
They're attempting to indemnify themselves with those, saying that, okay, if this was ever, if you ever changed so much,
That affects our tracks.
it's not much different than when we've had multiple letters sent in and things like that. We get correspondence where somebody says, hey, just so you know, I raise cattle. And warning you against them smelling. I mean, we've had that on how many housing projects. And I don't plan to stop raising cattle and
Hey, Alan, I can't hear those comments.
Oh.
you can repeat that.
He's way down at.
Yeah, he's just basically talking about in the past, we've had people send in letters for areas like, hey, I'm raising cattle next to this. It's going to create a smell. I don't intend to quit doing that. And so it's just kind of that same ideal in that.
Okay.
And ultimately that, then, because they think it's the slippery slope argument, because then if you keep me from raising cattle, then it's under the taking analysis, but I mean, it's projecting really into the future.
Yeah.
So is the railroad right-of-way part of their deeded property?
They should have that on their deeded property, that there's a railroad right.
Right-of-way, even though it goes right to those old tracks?
Yes.
It should say that.
Yeah,
I
there's
didn't read their
got to
legal
be a
agreement.
right-of-way agreement somewhere on that.
Okay, all right. Any other questions?
There's a warranty deed here in the,
Yeah, there's a legal, and it should be a deed. I look at
that's the
that.
wrong one. Legal description, yeah.
Even if there wasn't, there'd be a prescriptive. But I know the railroad has the right-of-way. They have for hundreds of years. Ever since they came through, those are pretty well established. And it's,
Don't try to clean them up. We tried that one.
yeah, it's one of those, you just deal with them. And once in a while, they'll work with you, but it's rare.
Okay. Did you look at that legal? Does it say?
I'm looking at it right now, and I can read the paragraph. It does mention the right-of-way. Commencing 106 feet west of the northeast corner of Lot 1 in Block 24, running then south. I don't know if we can, south.
South would bring you down. here.
Thence west to where it intersects the east line of the Oregon Short Line Railroad right-of-way. Thence running northeasterly along the east line of said railroad right-of-way to where it intersects in the north line of Lot 1. So that says that the
They
line
said
is,
it's not on the right of
it says the line comes to the right-of-way and runs along it, but does not cross over. That's what this,
even though it shows that on the,
yeah,
Did it give you how many feet from here to here?
let's see, no, it just says, actually, this says
It says the center
it
line.
runs northeasterly, thence west to where it intersects the east line of the Oregon Short Line Railroad right-of-way.
but it doesn't say the distance.
But it doesn't say how many feet, so it doesn't say if it like crosses that spur and goes to the right-of-way or.
Yeah, and whether it does or doesn't, they know they can't build across there anyway, and they can't do anything across there without the railroad's permission.
Okay.
And again, going back to our land use purpose of our commission, we're not really worried about.
Well, we just want to make sure that we're not
So.
rezoning something we're not supposed to be.
I'm just trying to put on the record for the city council to consider, to know if this is going to be a legal issue that could, come back to bite them. But, yeah, as far as projects go, all we care about is LDR 3 okay here? Right? Is that kind of what you're saying, Vince?
Well, yeah, I mean, I went to school to understand all that, and I still don't understand it.
Okay.
Me too. for
That's
me.
why I leave it up to the staff and the people to know. That's their game, not mine.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we're ready for a motion?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see this match the high-density residential, but if it's not going to join those other parcels, then it's really not able to be
High density.
used if we don't approve this, right? And recognizing that fact, then I'll motion if nobody else has any comments.
So you're making the motion?
I will, yep. So I propose that we make a recommendation to city council to rezone the proposed property from light industrial to LDR 3 in order to make that property usable for the owners while also maintaining the neighborhood and matching other similar zones in that area.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all right. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Can we add to that motion the fact that it would be in compliance with the,
Comprehensive.
in accordance with the comprehensive plan?
We have that.
Yes, we can.
You still second it?
Yep,
We do
still
that.
second.
Thank you. Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That will also be sent to city council then. All right. Okay, so at this point, we have nothing on November 7th, correct?
There's a chance you will.
Okay. You'll let us know.
We're in the process of finishing up the plat.
Okay. All right, and I think that we've just kind of had our other discussion. Anything else, Ellen?
Well, I want to give you a heads up. We already did city council and we talked about it earlier, but there will be another annexation coming through. And this one will also be a forced on most of the properties, but they are enclaves, so they're islands within the city that need to be cleaned up and brought in.
So did you ever hear anything from Taylor?
They actually showed up at the meeting
Oh, did
last
they?
night.
Okay.
They had a representative here. They weren't opposed. She basically just come to find out
Now
what's
what?
going on, what can we do? She didn't even get up and speak. She just visited with Stephen mostly.
Okay. At least we know they know.
They know.
Okay. All right, we'll go
So
ahead.
is this the first forced annexation we've ever had?
It's the first one I've done, but I don't think it's the first one that has been done. Yeah.
And then the other ones or is anybody going to be opposed to these?
You may. Let me just show you quick which ones. This is one of them right here. We want to bring those properties in to the city. And then you have this one down here. This island right here. And this is one, I had proposed doing it earlier, but there was kind of a verbal agreement with Mr. Ward that they would not do anything as long as he was alive and here. So his passing has made it so they've said move forward
Good.
and do that, so.
Did the city end up buying that property just to the north?
We own one,
But not to
the
the
Steiner one, but we did not buy the,
The other one?
no.
Okay.
It was actually purchased by one individual who has now turned around and sold it again, I believe. And they're actually applying for subsidized housing with the federal government to build there.
Nice.
So they should find out here fairly soon whether they made that or not. And then they would be building in the spring.
What's the city's plan with their property right there?
Park. That will be a park for that side of town.
Okay.
We had hoped to get the Lawrence property and make it a more significant one, but the price just got to the point where the city says we can't afford to do that and build a park. So they let it go where it needed to go. And then we have one section of Eagle Park that had never been brought into the city. This little piece right there. For some reason, I was looking through it and I'm going, well, it's owned by the city. Why isn't it in the city?
That's
they're
a
going,
forced
"Oh, that's a good
annexation,
question."
right?
So it will be included in that one also.
Will the city oppose it?
Yeah, right. Okay, we'll stand adjourned. Maybe
you.
we'll see you on November 7th, maybe we won't.